This is Nabalis' newest, most budget trainer in their lineup, coming in at $35, $40, and $45 depending on the handle and blade color. This is the successor to the Extrusion, which is Nabalis' full aluminum balisong, but this is called the Extrusion 2 Impulse. So I'm just going to call it the Impulse because this one has a steel blade with aluminum handles as opposed to the all aluminum construction. Now the Impulse, it flips really well, but it also has some quirks to it, which I think are the result of techniques to keep the price down, which I will cover. And overall, this is a really good budget option or a beginner option. This is my first impressions. I haven't even had this for 24 hours, but I just wanted to make this video so I could get this up to show to all of you. Now, just so you know, this was sent to me for free by Nabalis. They just asked me if I wanted to test it out, and I said sure. They didn't even specifically ask for me to make a video, but of course I'm going to make a video on this so I can share this and share my thoughts with all of you who might be interested in potentially getting one of these. All right, so let's cover the flipping. So as for the balance, I would say that it is outer weighted. That is just to mean that there's a good amount of momentum that's carried at the ends of the handles and the tip of the blade. You can see this nice design has a lot of material there, which is really nice to help with the fanning performance. And then you have these weights at the ends of the handles and these pivots, which can be removed, both of them, which stay tuned to the end of this video. I will talk a little bit about the experience with how it is removing both of those. I was actually very surprised about removing these weights, so stay tuned for that. But yeah, but with the weights in, it definitely has that nice balance where you have a good amount of momentum carrying on the ends of the handles, but you definitely notice that the weight is definitely distributed towards the ends of the handles, where it's it definitely feels like there's not as much weight that's being carried in these handles due to, I think, just the size of the handles just being so thin, which for me, I don't mind that. It definitely gives it a more unique balanced profile, but I know some people do not like that as much, but you know, it's really just preference based, so now you know. Overall, this thing, like I said, it flips really well. It really doesn't have any issues with any tricks. I haven't had any, I haven't done any of my combos or any tricks where I've been like, oh, this is performing weird. Like chaplains, they feel really good. They're nice and sticky, exactly how you would want. Rollovers feel good as well, of course. Yeah, I haven't really had any issues with any tricks. Ladders are really good. The jimping is really good, and this balisong is pretty light, so those combined together makes the ladders really solid. Yeah, the jimping, it really does dig into the fingers, and so yeah, it just makes it easier to do those ladders. Now, the finish on this balisong feels pretty slick in the hand. I would think that it would be slippery, but honestly, I've had no problems with it. Now, obviously, you know, I know different people, whether it's their, how sweaty their hands are or their climate, how humid it is. I live in Florida, so it's very humid, so keep that in mind. But people may find that, yeah, maybe this does feel slippery to them. But for me, even though it felt really slick, it really hasn't been. So that's been a nice, pleasant surprise. Once again, remember, this is just my first impressions. I haven't flipped it a ton, but yeah, overall, I mean, let's be honest, with Nabalis, I'm not worried that their balisongs are gonna flip weird. They definitely know what they're doing in regards to making balisongs that flip well. So there's really, like I said, I mean, I haven't spent a ton of time with this, but there's nothing that I have an issue with regards to flipping. So yeah, there's that. Now, something that I did notice is with choker fans, these handles feel really thin. The ends of the handles especially. And when I first did the choker fan on this balisong, that's when I noticed how thin the handles were. Look at that. Compared to it, this is just a Vulp. You can see that these handles are very thin. They are, yeah, they're thin this way. Yeah, that even looks more obvious. But yeah, really thin. But then compare it to even the Canyon, which the Canyon has thin handles, but it hasn't really stuck out to me. And I think that's because if you compare it to the Canyon, they're even thinner, this way. Yeah, even though the handles on the Canyon are thin, when I do a choker fan, I can notice it a little bit, but it just really stuck out on the Impulse a lot. Just the handles are just so thin. and small, which I think it is one of those things where you're either going to like it or you're not. And those people that do like it, I think it will make this, yeah, a really good balisong to have in their collection. But I think that brings me to just overall the build, the design with this balisong. But yeah, the design, I think overall, the lengthwise, it is like pretty much like standard. Like, I mean, it's a touch longer than the Volp, but like I said, it's just definitely much thinner, which means that it's less materials. I'm assuming because it's the Extrusion 2, the original Extrusion used like an extrusion process to, hence the name, to yeah, like get the handles as opposed to milling them entirely from blanks. And so I think that because that reduces the material you use, that means that it'll be less material to have to buy for each balisong, so that keeps the price down. And overall, just the handles being so much thinner also means that there's less material, so I think that's why that the handles are thin. As well as just a couple other things, like mainly the blade cutouts, they're a little bit sharp. But yeah, I really don't think it's gonna be a problem. Even if you do like spine grabs, you're not really gonna feel it probably. It's just one of those things where it's like, oh, it just makes sense that, you know, they're not gonna go through the extra machining process to smooth that out because they're trying to keep this balisong to be as low in cost as possible. So that way, you know, you can get it. If you're, you know, just getting to the hobby, can be like a really good option to get. And that's something that I would say with this balisong is that it feels like Nabalis made the necessary design choices to this balisong to keep costs down without really compromising in performance or really quality. Like, obviously, yes, this is going to feel not as quality in the hand as one of their more premium options or another balisong's more expensive balisong, but that's okay because it's like kind of to be expected. And there's nothing about this that I would say, like, it's not like the whole thing just feels like cheap in that sense. It just feels light and it feels pretty good in the hands. The ends of the handles, these like four corners, they do feel a little bit sharp. So I do notice that, especially like when doing choker fans. But also, I noticed that the Kraken trainer that I had felt that same kind of way, and I've never really heard anybody call that out, so, you know. Oh yeah, and that is with the handles. They do have some nice lines running down the edges, as well as different kind of like divot down the middle, and the sides of the handles even have a little bit of lines on the side, which I do think definitely is nice to see, and seems like it helps out with grip, which is really cool. Like, it really doesn't feel like Nabalis is cutting any necessary corners. They're just keeping the cost down. I mean, you get with the cheapest models, the $35, the black and silver, and the silver, they don't come with the extra hardware. They just come with extra washers. But the other ones, they come with the extra pivots, bushings, washers. You get the T10 bit, thread locker, lube, and I even got this nice bag, which is a first for me. So that's cool to see. It's like a really nice velvet pouch. So it really comes with everything that you would want to have, at least if you're getting the two more slightly expensive ones. But overall, I would say that this balisong is really good. Oh, that's another thing too. The tolerances are the best out of the box that I've seen from any balisong that I've gotten. There is no wiggle to this. There is no wiggle. It is actually kind of insane. Nabalis has gotten really good with their tolerances. Now, how long will those hold up? I don't know. You know, once this breaks in a little bit and I drop it, even just on the carpet, I doubt it's going to stay exactly like that. But it is pretty crazy that, yeah, this balisong costs, what, this one is $45, and it's just that good. It comes with all of those things, and it has a really good flipping experience. Here's a sound test. That's something I noticed with this balisong is that it doesn't really have any ring when I'm flipping it. But when you do the sound test, there is just a little bit of ring that resonates at the end, which is actually, I think, pretty cool. Another thing I really like about the Impulse is the bite handle indicator. It is really noticeable. Like, doing a chaplain is extremely noticeable and uncomfortable. And even if you like just do like a ricochet like that, it is very noticeable, which I think is really good because it is not going to let you develop any bad habits in regards to just ignoring the bite handle. So, and at the same time, even though it's really noticeable and like sharp feeling, it's not punishing. Like I don't think it's actually going to really hurt you in any way. So it's really good to see. Real quick, the handle material is 6063 aluminum, which is similar to 6061. I will link a little bit of information and a longer article in the description which compares 6061 to 6063 aluminum. I think it's actually pretty interesting. It makes sense because it says 6063 is better at being extruded, although not better at being machined. So it makes sense that, as I'm assuming this Extrusion 2, like its predecessor, was extruded out to make that whole process a little bit more efficient. It would make sense that they would go with 6063. I have to say, I am quite surprised. I took the weights out and I was flipping it a little bit while I was uploading the video to my computer. So I did have some time to flip it with the weights out. As you can see, here they are. And this is definitely a valid option. I don't know, I thought that it would have been too light, or I guess not too light, but lacking handle weight. But honestly, you could definitely flip this. It's a little bit more neutral. It still chaplains just fine. I think the pivots still add like enough weight at the ends of the handles to where it can, still chaplain, carry momentum. So that's really cool that the Impulse has that weight system. That's crazy for a, like for around $40 balisong that you have that option. That it's one that I would say is definitely worth like using, trying out if you want to, just try out that experience, see if you like it with a little bit less handle weight. I think if this is your first balisong, I wouldn't worry about it, especially because that extra handle weight at the ends, the handles will help the balisong just not fly out of your hands for rollovers and chaplains. But if you're somebody that likes a more neutral experience, then you can definitely take those weights out and give it a try. And the nice part is because the pivots are double-sided, you can just put one pivot on each end and you can take it out. These were really tight. I don't think I would have been able to take them out if these pivots were not double-sided. So big props to Nabalis for making the pivots double-sided and on both of the pivots. So that's really nice to see. And I figured I might as well just take out the pivots as well to see how that flips. And I can say, well, this one is not as good. I would not consider this to be a viable option, although you totally could. It's very light. It definitely lacks some handle weight. Like sometimes it's hard to like get into fans, but you definitely can. Like if I'm focusing on it, like it can still flip okay. But like with chaplains, with chaplains and rollovers, you can still chaplain and do rollovers okay, but you really have to be focused and really locked in. So I guess if you want to use it kind of more so as a training tool, you definitely could take the pivots out. But other than just to try it out, just to see how it feels, I would not recommend that configuration. So once again, thank you to Nabalis for sending this out to me, and thank you to you for watching. And let me know in the comments if you have any questions, whether it's about the Impulse or anything else balisong related, and I will do my best to answer you. And I will see you in the next video. Or at Blade Show if you're there. I will be at Blade Show, so let me know in the comments if you will see me there. All right, see you guys later.